start the meeting in, let's just say we'll start the meeting officially in another minute or so, because that will be 2:06. And we can go from there. And please be patient. My printers stopped working. So all the stuff that I had planned to print out for the meeting is on my desktop. So just bear with me. Vicky, one question for you. Are you able to take minutes?
Yes, Miles, I'm all ready.
Thank you. Anyway, the good news is, everyone, at this point, we do have quorum, even though there isn't a lot of us. So under our constitution.
Now, can you hear me?
Hi, Pete.
I hear somebody.
That's me.
Hi, Vicky.
Yeah, I can hear you too there, Pete.
Okay. So we've got 10 and 4, eh? 10 members and four of the board.
I think we've got more than 10 members, but I think we're well over.
16 members. 16 people.
Says here 19, so.
Oh, okay.
And actually, one thing that occurred to me is if all those that are participating in the meeting can, in the chat feature, just state, your name and your name and what club you belong to, or whether you're a direct member. That will help Vicky out when she puts together the minutes for the meeting.
Clubs, we have Ken Burgess has agreed to let his name stand. Is there anybody who wishes to stand for the membership director clubs? Second call. Third call, I guess. If you haven't heard anything, okay, I guess it's by acclamation for Ken. Membership director for direct members. I have let my name stand for that. It's a new position. They were amalgamated under the general or the club membership before, but we've thought that we should have somebody looking after our direct members. So I've put my name forward for that. So Phil Rogers for the direct members directorship. Is there anybody else that may wish to be considered for that? Second call. Third call. I guess I've got it. Probably should have let Pete look after that one.
It's okay.
Okay, for directors, we have a number of people that put their name forward for directors. First one is Pete Caverhill. Second one is Don Grimway. Third is Jim Culp. Next one is Danny Erasmus. These were all our previous directors. Jessia Grace, Rich Ronich, and we still have positions open if anybody wishes to be a director for the BCFFF. Is there anybody who wishes to put their name forward as a director? Please do so.
If you don't mind me asking, what are the duties of a director of the BCFFF?
I'll read them to you. It's we meet according to our constitution. We meet at least biannually, but we do have board meetings every month. And for this past year, they've all been done by Zoom. So it's basically the board of directors is part of these meetings, and they have a vote on passing any things that come up to the board. Basically, we discuss items of interest to the board, to the BCFFF. We have
I mean,
just trying to read over what they actually say in our constitution and bylaws.
I could jump in, Phil. I mean, I
Sure.
can in a sort of more grassroots level. I mean, in our last, board meeting, we were looking at public access to the Ashcroft Slough on the Thompson. We have an ongoing section on the book, Bob Hooton's books, which we published and have been selling, that involved U.S. distribution. Obviously, we have ongoing sort of conversations about, membership dues, that sort of thing. But a lot of it's conservation based and certain issues that come across our desk. For example, Phil Rogers is our representative at the Outdoor Rec Council. So he's involved in those meetings, and that's a kind of, for those of you not familiar, that's a fairly substantial group, the Outdoor Rec Council, made up of many, many different organizations, from bear watching groups to ATV to fly fishers such as ourselves, the BC Wildlife Federation. So he reports back on issues that come up from there. Now we're also involved with the PAC. Now, forgive me, I can't remember the acronym off the top of my head, but they try to have 2 meetings a year. Pete's led the charge on that, is typically at those meetings, and that's the Provincial Advisory Board on Freshwater Fisheries.
Yeah, Provincial Angling Advisory Team is what the PAAT stands for. So we meet with some of the senior people in Flinrord, Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development. So it's usually the director that meets with us. There's representatives of a bunch of interest groups. So, and as Miles says, it's usually 2 meetings a year.
Okay.
In addition, Bruce, there's what we've tried to do as of late is last couple of years is we have kind of subcommittees, which can be ad hoc. They might come up in one meeting and 2 or 3 directors get involved in a specific issue and deal with it for the next meeting. Or, for example, and it's unfortunate, Jim Culp, it's his birthday today, is one of our board members and had some technological issues. But Jim and Jesse represent the Skeena area and report back to the board on issues that are taking place in that region. which, and yeah, so that's a kind of another aspect. That's an ongoing thing, right?
Okay, well, as far as I'm concerned, you could probably put my name down for a director, and I'll give it a try for a year, see what it's like. Don't know.
Last name, Bruce?
Bruce Gemmell, Gemmell.
Okay, thank you.
I am been nominated for our club's presidency on our upcoming AGM. So I don't know how much time I'll have, but I'll certainly give it a try.
What club is that, Bruce?
Kamloops Fly Fishers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What did you say?
Kamloops.
Kamloops. Oh, good.
Kamloops Fly Fishers, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that we look at all as well is we have two trust funds, or one right now. Hopefully we'll have approval for the second one. First one is the Gilly, and that's the Gilly Fund. Our members can make application to receive monies for different conservation projects for involving fish, and it goes to the Gilly Fund committee first, and if it's approved there, then it goes to the board for approval. And there's been an extensive list of monies that we have, or projects that we have contributed to over the years, and it's quite a substantial list. I think we have it in in our AGM annual report, if you want to look at that. And the next one that we're going to do, hopefully it gets passed this year, will be the Charlie Thomas Conservation Education Fund, and that hopefully will cover requests for funding from projects that don't meet the criteria for the Gilly Fund. Every year we get, we've had requests for education purposes, like funding schools for fly rods or fly tying equipment, and all that kind of thing there. So that's what we hope to be covering with the Charlie Thomas Conservation Fund, and that all the applications that come for that will go to the board of directors as well. So they'll decide whether those funds get paid out or not. There's also various things under the ORC umbrella. We've been getting reports lately for these, get this down here. We've had 4 requests in the last 2 weeks about different projects or different things for the outdoor recreation council, but they're under the terms of, I wrote a bunch of them down here the other day. Here we are. It's commercial recreation applications that go to the government, and we've got 4. One is for Northern Jet Boat tours on the Skeena. Another one is the Snow Peak Rentals, which are ORV in Golden area, Powder Renegade Lodge, cat skiing in the Grande Mountain Area Provincial Park, which is just east of Kelowna. And we've just had another one 2 days ago from the Selkirk Backcountry Lodge for summer hiking in the Revelstoke area. And ORC is asking the members of ORC to comment on these things where they feel it's needed. So, those would be brought up to the board of directors for comments, and whether we want to make any comments to ORC for either pro or against these activities, that's our avenue to do so. And we've just had one, I think is going to be quite an extensive discussion coming up in the road, is that there's been some talk about the Fish, Wildlife and Habitat Coalition, and that's come through us through work as well. And that there's been a discussion paper just starting for the terms of reference, and that will have I think could possibly have a very big impact on conservation and recreation in the backcountry or anywhere in province of British Columbia. That is just starting up, And I think we have to keep our eyes on that. Number one is going to be the funding of this habitat or fish, wildlife, and habitat, whatever they call it, coalition. And right now, as you probably all know, that most of our funding to freshwater fisheries comes from our fishing licenses, the standard fishing licenses, and some of the monies that Habitat Conservation Fund get apparently go to from our secondary licenses for special licenses. That goes to the Habitat Conservation Fund, and that provides, according to them, 62% of their funding. So all these things could be up in the air about where these monies are directed to. So that could have a big impact on our interior fishing, and even for the coast fishing as well. So it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on and find out from our members where we stand on that, what we want to see. It's very, very early stages on this discussion, and I think we have to keep close eye on how things are going and make our views felt on where we'd like to see this go.
Did we finish the elections and
You have to just approve the board slate.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
So these are just questions for Bruce.
okay,
If Bruce has got an idea. Because the minute he says yes, he's going to get a bunch of things.
there is a list of job descriptions
Yes,
for the various positions in BCFFF. Now they're old, they're very old,
they're
but
all old in BC AAA.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
what I
can be
was
sent
trying to
around.
find.
Yeah, and I mean, there's one for board members.
I just
mean,
sent them to everybody, Pete.
Sorry?
I sent them in chat to everybody.
Oh, okay, thanks, Pat. Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah. There's the list on bylaw 9 for the duties of board directors. There's not too much stuff involved in that, but there is some things I got a little carried away on what we do talk about. So,
Well,
so that's what it is.
we're also talking about your museum.
Yes,
You know that part, don't you?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that yet, but yes, I know something about the museum, yes.
Good, okay. So do we need a motion to approve these, the board slate? Phil?
Sure. If we want to approve the election of the board of directors for the FFF, I so move it.
Don Grumway, I second it.
Sounds like a fix.
Yeah. I guess all in favor. Anybody opposed?
Ken,
Ken?
Are we voting for or against?
We're voting for. We're always for things.
Okay, voting for, okay.
Well, welcome, Bruce.
Thank you.
Bruce, if you don't mind, what's your email address?
D.B.B. Gemmel, G-E-M-E.
DEB Gemmel.
Maybe I should just type it here.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll type it to everybody.
I seem to be way behind on this technology because should I be seeing everybody on here?
If you
You
want
should,
to,
Pete.
if you want to, if you
Oh,
go,
I want
go
to.
to the upper right hand, there's a
Well,
little thing that says view on the upper right hand of the screen.
Yeah.
view.
I've
So
got,
click on view, you can either click on speaker or you can click on gallery. If you
I've
click on-
clicked on gallery, but all I get is nine faces.
Oh, okay.
It's funny. It's,
I have 16 here.
yeah. There was 19, but I don't know why I don't see everybody. That's really weird.
There should be an arrow there that shows you that you can press the arrow and it'll show the rest of the people.
Yeah,
Little blue arrow.
Yeah, I don't see any little blue arrow. Anyway, don't worry about it. We'll get there. I'll get there sometime.
okay.
Lynn, you have some questions?
I did have some questions, and I'm just here just as an observer from the Comox Valley Fly Fishing Club, and of course I didn't vote at the beginning because I would have had to have been at the last AGM in order to have voted. I'm just inquiring about bylaws because I don't have a copy of the BCFFF bylaws, only our own club's bylaws, and we updated them and everything and did everything in compliance with the province in 2018. And so what I'm just observing, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is I think I've just observed 8 people be elected to this board without even being here at the AGM. Is that correct? That they're not on the call at all?
You're probably right.
Miles and Phil and Bruce, of course, you're here present and you're on the board either as an executive or a director, but I'm still looking for, yeah, Ken Burgess, Pete Caverhill, Don Grimway, Jim Culp, Danny Wasmus, and Rick. So that's all I'm saying is I'm here as an observer for our club and I'll report back to our board.
Pete's here.
Pete's here. I've missed Pete.
And Dawn's here.
Right underneath you.
See, I
Don Grimway's here.
Okay. So I guess my point is like 2 or 3, whatever. I know with our bylaws and we're following BC's is that a director actually has to be present at the AGM in order to be elected. So I was just asking that as a question.
They don't have to be present, but they do have to sign if they are elected or get it. They do have to sign a piece of paper.
A little different than ours. Okay.
And
Just wanted to clarify that.
yeah, there is under the provincial statute, there is a way that if you're not present, you fill out a form that yes, you agree to be a director and you do fall within the qualifications that are needed to any society.
Everyone needs to sign that, and
Yep.
then of course that's filed with your secretary, treasurer, whoever files with the provincial government.
So the names that were mentioned were ones that had previously had agreed to be a board member, so that even though they're not here, we will definitely be checking up with them afterwards and see if they still wish to be. If they're not, well, then they will be taken off that list.
No, just a general question, because I know when we did our bylaws and Bruce Bell worked very closely on those, is that in order to be in compliance with the provincial guideline, that's one thing that is with ours, is that you need to be there at the AGM.
Yeah, I had that wonderful job for the FFF as well, so I know what he did. But it's
given that we're in a lockdown and this organization is going to be Zooming probably until next summer at least. Is that I just was wondering, we're in a lockdown and we've got a lot of people that aren't on the meeting, and yet they're saying yes, they will be able to Zoom in the future. So I'm just asking.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, Lynn?
No, that's it. Thanks, Miles.
Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is the BCFFF dues structure. Now, again, I'm having trouble jumping around here. So if someone wants to, Bill, do you want to comment on that?
My understanding, like this was done before I came back onto the board, but it's my understanding that there had been discussion amongst the board because of the COVID lockdown and just because I think everything was pretty much put to a standstill, they waived the dues for 2020. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I would just imagine then that we would, depending on what, how we're coping with this COVID, hopefully it'll work itself out, and next spring we'll be back up to running a proper operation. Then I think we should just follow through with what the dues were prior to the shutdown. I don't know if anybody has any other suggestions on whether we increase the dues or leave them as what they were. But I do believe that if anybody had paid into them for last year, that would be taken into, that would be put in retroactive for next year's dues. So I don't know if Miles, Pete, Vicky, am I right in assuming that?
I think so. It was $10 per club and $5 per member. And then the direct members were going to be $20.
Margaret Greenway, I have a question. When are dues due? When do you ask for due payment?
It should be aimed at the beginning of the new year.
Okay.
They were due on or before the last general meeting. People had to be paid up to attend the general meeting. I think, was that right, Pete?
Sorry, Vicky.
You have to be paid up to attend the general meeting? Did you have to be a member in good standing to attend as a club member or a direct member?
Well, I think you have to be a member in good standing to be on the board. So,
I thought money
And to vote.
was due by then.
yeah. So
that's always been at the end of March, hasn't it? Beginning of April or end of April?
yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, my recollection about this is that you need to, the dues are normally due at the end of January, by the end of January, but you must have paid them in order to vote at the AGM.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Don Grimway, just one question. How are we doing it now? Is it going to be for mail-in or for next year's dues, or how are we working it now? Has there anything been worked out to just to do it on computer? Or?
We've had some discussion, like in the past, in our Constitution, all our financial transactions are either slow mail or checks and all that kind of stuff. And we've had a fair amount of discussion in the last little while about trying to update our finances to accept e-transfers and credit card payments and that type of thing. But in order for us to do that, it would require an amendment to the bylaws. So we have been talking about whether or not we could try and do this electronic form of payments on a trial basis. And we've left it up to that because really we don't have any authority to change the bylaws to that at this point in time. But we thought we would maybe institute that on a trial basis until the next AGM, which is in 2021. So I don't know, we're sort of looking for direction on what the membership wants us to do on that.
Bill, can I ask you a question, please? Ken Marsh, just what is it in the bylaws that prohibits electronic payments?
The bylaws state, just grab it right here. I've got it written down here. Under section 10.6, all payments shall be made by
I
check
can't get them all
except
at
for
once on the screen.
minor petty cash transactions, and if such a fund is in use. Signing of checks. All checks drawn on any account of the Federation shall be signed by 2 of the officers. We don't have anything prohibiting us from changing over to credit or changing over to accepting of funds, but we're not set up for that. We haven't done any banking electronically or with credit cards because of everything we've been doing has been old school. So we're looking at changing a fair amount of things on that.
Leonard Picken here from Kamloops. Our treasurer looked into it, having members pay our dues with an e-transfer. But the only thing is, we have to have 2 signatures at the bank. And to do an e-transfer, you can only have 1 signature.
Yep. That's one of the major stumbling blocks with all this electronic stuff is how do we get by it? And unless we change our bylaws.
Okay, so Margaret Greenway, Haig Brown, interim president, and we accept e-transfers, but all our financials going out are by check with 2 signatures. And so when we pay our dues to your club, it would be by check.
Okay.
Leonard here, same thing with the Kamloops Fly Fishers. We would mail a check out too. And I just want to know what address to send that check out to.
Good question.
We have another question here.
Okay, my turn. Sorry, I didn't know whether you're just all jumping or whether you're actually doing so. So Comox Valley Fly Fishing, we have done e-transfers and we have had sign up online for over a year now. And we've had no problem with that at all. It's all done through our website. And we actually have quite an international following as well. People that live on other side of the world and pre-COVID were coming to Vancouver Island to fish and they wanted to have friends when they got here. So our membership was well up over 100. I think it was at about 130 or 140. And we had no problem with that at all. And then when we did our Phil Rowley event last October, I did the tickets and we did it all with email transfer, no problem at all. But as Margaret said, anything going out of our accounts, yes, we have to comply with the bank and we have 2 signatures on a check.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking at trying to get something like that arranged as well. It'll be up to Jesse Blake, who's our treasurer, to look into this and get that aspect up and running. We also want to have that for our direct membership as well, so that they can, pay directly into it when they send their application forms in. So we are actively looking at it, and hopefully Jesse will be able to come back with us on some type of process on how this electronic will be working, and if we can get that thing looked after first, and then we'll look to see about whether we want to have credit cards or whatever else for payments house-wise. But the big thing there is this 2 signature business is a bit of an issue at the moment.
You have a question, Lynn?
No, I'm just saying it can be done like really in 1 little nanosecond visit to the bank. And the other thing was, it's 2020, it's COVID, where everyone's kind of doing the best that they can do. But I also just sort of want to say, I don't know, as far as websites and things like that, we invested a lot of time and a lot of energy in our website, and we're very grateful because that's our connection with our members right now. And, everyone's struggling to have meetings and trying to figure this all out. So, with all the clubs, I know that we're an umbrella group over the top of everyone as BCFFF, but that is certainly something that, everyone's got to be looking at is how can we reach out to our members and keep in touch, and website seems to be the way to go.
Good point.
Thank you.
Sorry, Vicky. Sorry, Lynn. Sorry,
Yeah.
Lynn. Bruce Campbell speaking. And so you went to the bank. You do need the 2 signatures to send a check out.
Totally. Well, actually, we have 4, and we have 4 signators. Because right after your AGM, of course, you have all of your directors, and I mean, even as this organization, everyone has to sign at the bank, and that can all be done e-signature now. Like everything can be done online.
Now,
and-
when you went to the bank,
Yeah.
you did a quick little visit to the bank. What exactly happened at the bank for you?
Rod Hamilton is our treasurer, and he went down and he just set it up, and we just left, him to it. And within days, he came back and he said, "Okay, it's all done." And then it's a link. It's on our website.
Gotcha.
And basically, you open our website, Comox Valley Fly Fishers, and we have so much information for our own members. And of course, it's very limited to the public. But it's, would you like to join? And so right away, people they're just joining. They're joining from all over the place.
Okay, and then it's a deposit.
I think it's PayPal. It's
without code.
PayPal.
What's that?
Jim Loring, I see you on this call too, and I'm not sure, Jim, if you would know that, but I'm pretty sure it's PayPal. And no, we do not do credit cards. My advice is don't go near credit cards because the club has to pay the percentage, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yes, good point.
Yeah, so we use PayPal, and we are paying something. I want to say $1.43, $1. Don't quote me on that, but it's very, very low, and it's much less than a credit card. And we look at, $1.40 off of a $50 membership. That's not much at all.
Yeah, no,
And there's 2%, isn't it?
Say that again. Sorry, Vicky.
Whether is 2%.
Or 2.5. It's
Yeah.
significant. Yeah, credit cards, they're significant. It depends on the volume that you're putting through. We are not going near it. We're not touching credit cards at all, because the email and the the email deposit, online depositing, it's so easy, and it is secure. It really is secure. That was a bit of a stumbling block with some members of our club refusing to pay their memberships online, and insisting on writing a check. And we went through that for at least a year or two, and now we've pretty well got everyone on board. It's definitely a learning curve for everybody, baby steps as you go forward with all of this technology.
Yeah, we're finding the same thing. We have some people that are quite up to it, and others that are quite reluctant, and some absolutely flat out refuse to be part of the electronic payments, what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are set up for PayPal on our and we've been selling Bob's book
Yes.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
there, and you can actually join as a member,
Yes.
direct member through PayPal on the website.
And so really, we're only accepting about 12 or 15 checks a year from the clubs. So it's not a huge problem. I know it's not a huge problem.
Okay. So,
Did everyone see Pat Mysick's contribution
Yeah.
in the chat?
Oh.
What's he doing?
Oh, there. Now I can see a face to a Pat Mysick.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, it is. It's tough, and it's been a challenge for our club, as it has been for every club. And I'm involved with Rotary as well, and we look at the demographic, the age demographic in a lot of our clubs. And what it has done for us with the Comox Valley Fly Fishing is online and being able to pay online. We have more younger members than we have ever had. And that's because that's what it's easy for them. There he goes. Push PayPal, pay, join the club, come on out. So we do have a lot of younger members.
Okay.
well, I guess.
Okay, Miles.
Yeah. So I guess what we need to do now is are we moving into the spending limit determination?
Are you want the resolution with the conservation fund?
Well,
Or-
no, we need to deal with the spending limit, 2020 spending limit.
Termination, that's the next one on that list. again, I don't know exactly what the spending limit is at present.
It's my understanding the current spending limit without seeking membership approval is $500. And what we were looking at trying to do was increase that to $1,000. The rationale behind is that insurance for the board, those sorts of things are just around $500 and to have a little bit more leeway. So the board could, spend up to $1,000 would be helpful. Is that a good summary, Phil and Pete? I mean, the $500 amount was probably set over 30 or 40 years ago and has never been increased.
Yeah, that sounds like what we talked about. So seems to make sense.
Okay. Does
Won't
anyone?
won't take anybody to Mexico.
Are you putting a motion on the floor?
Yeah, the motion would be to increase the spending limit of the board from $500 to $1,000. And then we'll open it up to the floor for questions or comments.
Okay, I need a seconder.
I'll second it. It's Pete here.
Probably not going to be too many questions. It's a pretty no-brainer type decision.
Thanks, Jim.
I do have a question now that having no brain apparently. The only question I have is this a motion that's permitted under your bylaws? I don't be too sticky about it, but there's no advance notice of it. I don't know if it's a spending thing that you need advance notice for or not.
Phil, can you unmute yourself, please?
Under the bylaws, spending limits 10.8 says the Federation shall, by resolution, establish the spending limits of the board on any single item or activity without reference to the general membership. These limits may be adjusted at any general meeting. In the same manner, the board shall set spending limits for individual officers and or committees.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a fair motion.
Yep.
I'm ready for the question.
Okay.
All in favor? Anybody opposed?
We have one,
Who's opposed?
Margaret.
All right.
Do you want to comment on that, Margaret?
I don't know. I think our spending limit at the Hague Brown is 500. And when we spend more than that, it causes quite a bit of concern within our club membership. And I think $1,000 is quite a jump. And I understand that it hasn't been changed in years. And perhaps there's some dynamics that go on behind the scenes. But I'm new to this role. And just from my experience at my local club level, even a $500 payment causes quite a bit of conversation. So I just would go against it right now.
Fair comment.
You want your vote recorded?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Lynn, are you?
Miles, I'm thinking that, with most AGMs, with a new board coming in, and this is how we run it at Comox Valley Fly Fishers, is we have next year's budget all pre-planned a year in advance based on what our incoming membership is going to be, because we're totally a member-run club. We don't get funding or grants or anything from anyone. So we have our budget ready to go, and that's approved at the AGM. So within, whether it's kids programs or membership or meeting costs or whatever, unless we need to go over budget somewhere, then we don't even need to come back to the board. It's written in the year's budget that is accepted at the AGM for 1 year in advance. So Margaret, I totally hear you regarding the 500 or the 1,000, and that's, each club has, of course, their own autonomy based on your membership. But we did recently up ours, and we upped it to 1,000, and it was simply because we were trying to buy camera equipment, you know, that came up to $600, and it meant that we had to wait until there was another general meeting, and we had to have this and that. So that was one reason why we upped it to 1,000, and it went through smoothly. But it went through smoothly because our budget 1 year in advance was very well organized and totally clear to our entire membership. This is where we intend to spend the dues. Because ours used to be 500, and we just kept running into trouble with that. We needed a smidge more all the time, so we did up ours to 1,000. So that's it. I don't know if that's helpful.
Okay. So I guess we can move on. Thank you for the comments, Lynn and Margaret. Now, the next item, I'm going to let Phil go over this, but we have a resolution number 1, which you should all have, and it's the Charles Thomas Conservation and Education Fund. I guess the motion would be to vote on the creation of the Charles Thomas Conservation Education Fund.
Okay.
Which,
Well, you need a vote, yeah, just a motion for that resolution to approve it. Yeah.
Yeah. As the resolution, as stated here, is whereas the membership of the BCFFF at the 2019 AGM voted to have the board of directors look into establishing a conservation and education fund that would consider funding projects not covered by the existing Gilly Fund. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the BCFFF, that fund to be known as BCFFF Charlie Thomas Conservation and Education Fund shall be created by the BCFFF. This fund shall be operated by a committee of the BCFFF members under the direction of the BCFFF Board of Directors. The purpose of this fund shall be consistent with the purpose of the BCFFF as set out in the Constitution. Projects for funding consideration shall: A, promote or educate fly fishing, fish conservation, fish habitat stewardship and sustainability of fish populations, and B, enhance the quality of life for youth, disabled, handicapped individuals, or other disadvantaged members of our society by learning how to appreciate the intricacies of fly fishing and its associated life skills. Or C, the projects that are funded by the Gilly Fund will not be eligible. The BCFFF Charlie, I should be all Charlie, not Charles. I'm reading an older one here.
Right.
The Charlie Thomas Conservation and Education Fund shall initially receive monies from the Charles Thomas bequest of and $5,000 from the BCFFF operating account. For your information, the bequest was $25,000 that we received from
Okay.
Thomas. So that's a total of $30,000. Future funding may include a portion of monies received from donations to the BCFFF and from fundraising events. So that's what the resolution is. So for spending on that, I think it'll be up to the board of directors to look at conservatively fund projects, because we don't want to spend a whole bunch of money and wipe it out in a couple of years' time. So there is no provision there that we can only use the interest, but I think it should be managed on a very conservatively on what monies will be available for payment every year. So that's what we've got so far. And I believe with the Gilly Fund, we only pay out monies that are we don't touch the principal from the Gilly Fund. We just have whatever monies we make through interest or fundraising. That's the monies that are available to be paid out on the Gilly Fund. So I think the Charlie Thomas Conservation Education Fund would be run the same way as what the Gilly Fund is. So any questions?
Well, I got a question, yeah. So Phil, how is that money invested essentially? I mean, right now banks are paying like 0.25 interest rate.
Yeah, that's always been a matter of discussion. Do you protect the principal and accept the lower rates, or do you go out on a little bit of a limb and go after a lot higher payments? Most clubs that I'm aware of have chosen the conservative to invest their money conservatively so you don't lose it. But it does limit the growth of that fund. And, you know, I don't know, there is a provision in the bylaws under 1010. The board may in its discretion invest a portion of the Federation funds in guaranteed investment certificates with rollover clauses as necessary for periods of 30, 60, or 90 days or for 1 year periods, and have their current status reported with other interim statements at general meetings. So there's nothing that prevents us from going for a higher return, but generally speaking, in the past, we haven't gone after that. We've gone more of a conservative manner of looking after our funds. So we're open to suggestions.
Yeah, well, again, if I can comment, I think that strategy might have been okay 10 years ago, when interest rates might have been around 5 or 6%. But now, basically, as my son-in-law says, his bank account has become a money-losing account. It's not a savings account; it's a losing account because it costs him more in fees and he's getting an interest. So I don't know how that plays out with the clubs, with the federation's investments. But I think with that, I'm sure there are people in the club who are much more experienced than me with regard to investment. But, you know, it's even with my own extremely pretty conservative investment approach with an investment advisor, it's not too hard to generate 5% a year, even in these circumstances. So I think we should at least investigate something that's a little bit more rewarding. I don't think I think you can get more money with minimal risk.
Yeah, the Kamloops Club did invest part of their monies in term deposits, 2 and 3 year term deposits. You know, the money's still there, but at least you're making something out of it.
Yeah, but it's still incredibly low, even term deposits, unless you lock them in for a whole lot of years. And I'm just wondering, Phil, the bylaws, do they prevent us from going anywhere other than GICs? I mean, it specifically talks about GICs there, and
Look at the limit on those GICs. Like, even if you laddered a bunch of GICs that rolled over on a 5-year, 3, 4, and 5 years, that's way better than 30 months.
but I think that's what's been done over the years.
Yeah.
They have been laddered, but you know, the ladders run out. And then you're stuck with whatever is available now, which is useless.
I guess it would be the form of advice that perhaps you maybe have a board committee to look at some investment alternatives for that fund.
Yeah.
I'd make that as a suggestion, perhaps, rather than any kind of resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we're locked in by the bylaws, then there would have to be a change to the bylaws, I guess, at some point, like next year or whenever, when we have another AGM.
And And
In British Columbia, bylaws can be very easily changed. We do not need to wait for an entire year for an AGM. Bylaws can be changed by calling a special meeting, and you do need your quorum, but they can be done anytime during the year.
If I can just come in there, I have been involved with the Oyster River Enhancement Society now for 30 or 20 years. And one of the things that we have done is we actually invest with Vancouver Trust Fund.
Yeah.
And they produce results much better than 5%. And I don't know what the lower limit is for actual investment there. And there are some rules that you have to go through, but it would be worthwhile looking into. We started out with 100,000 and we've worked it up. Now we're well past $500,000. And it's primarily, it was just to save the operation. We were having trouble fundraising. So we actually started looking at individual memberships into what we call Charlie's Fund. And now that's got to the point now where it supports the operation pretty well. But Vancouver Trust Fund is might be worthwhile looking into.
Vancouver Foundation, that's what you're thinking
Foundation,
of, right?
yes.
Vancouver
Yeah,
Foundation.
Yeah.
You know, and there's an Okanagan, like Northern Okanagan Foundations, and even Central Okanagan Foundation. There must be so many little groups that have got little pots of money that if we actually set up accounts within the foundation, that we give them a greater capacity, they could generate far more.
Well, I think that's the basis for the Vancouver Foundation. There's a Comox Valley Foundation also, which we've invested a bit in there. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
And the Comox Valley Community Foundation, Jim, is all run now by the Vancouver Foundation. So even that goes through Vancouver Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
I think that's definitely something that we should have a committee on, led by our treasurer, to look into investments for all our monies, not just the Charlie Thomas, but the Gilly Fund as well, because we're not getting much return from any of it at this point in time.
No,
So
the banks
it's a point well taken.
Ridiculous.
And there is no, from what I've read of the bylaws, there's no limitation that we have to have, must be a secured, solid secured investment. It just says it's, you know, a portion of the funds in guaranteed investment certificates with rollover clauses as necessary. It doesn't say you even have to do that. It says it at the board's discretion. So I think that leaves it pretty well wide open. It's just that we'd hate to see a high risk one where you lose everything, like the old Vancouver Stock Exchange with Mr. Scalbini or whatever his name was.
The good
Rick
old
shares.
Yeah.
Peter Brown.
Anaccord.
Lynn has provided some information in chat.
Great.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, I don't have a contact for something like this because I know, like, through our Rotary Club, we have an endowment fund and we just pull our interest every year, and we do about 30,000 in scholarships for the schools. So I only have that one name, and that's a scholarship contact.
Yeah.
Through that phone number, you could find the person that you'd want to be speaking to for investments.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, should we have a vote for the creation of the BCFFF Charlie Thomas Conservation and Education Fund?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we set up that as a fund.
Who was the seconder on that? Pete wasn't he?
I can be.
Yeah, I think you were.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess all in favor, raise your hand. And great. Is there anyone against? Okay. One quick note, Vicky, is in your notes. Thank you, Lynn, for that contribution, and for all of you that have contributed in the chat section. It's been really helpful. Just for the minutes, can you put an agenda item for Miles and Jesse to look at the Vancouver Foundation?
Yes, I will.
I will contact Jesse, who unfortunately right now is probably making fish tacos at his restaurant. Yeah, I'll have a chat with him about that and then report back to the board.
All right.
Thank you, and thanks again. So I guess at this point, we are finished the AGM. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add?
Leonard here from Kamloops.
Sure.
I'm just wondering if we could have people go around and tell us how their club's doing and kind of what's going on, just for, minute or two.
That's a lovely thing to do. And Leonard?
Okay, I'll start off. So this last year hasn't been good for us. And so anyways, I'm taking over as acting president right now. And we're going to get back going here. We have a meeting this week on Thursday. Bruce, I'm hoping, is going to be president. I'm going to be back on director. This is our first Zoom session I've ever done. So when I send my email out to the directors on Sunday, we're going to be doing a Zoom on Thursday. What we want to do, or what my objective is to get going in the new year with our executive doing Zooms. And then we do our fly tying 101 and our monthly meeting starting next year, Zooming. But up until now, we've done nothing. So we're trying to get back to our members and trying to get them involved. So I really found this Zooming to be quite easy. I didn't find it difficult at all today. So I'm excited for going forward.
I'll do the
Great.
Calamelca fly fishers. We've had to move from our clubhouse, and the executive found another place for us to meet, which is just terrific because we haven't been able, we've moved in, and everybody was very good on carrying everything, but there's been no meetings held there. And our fly fishing tying has gone online through YouTube, and it's really successful. And there's all kinds of people that are not even club members that have joined so they can participate in the fly tying. And we're just waiting to see how Zoom works. We try to get meetings and then we decide we're not going to meet. And we've just really missed seeing everybody and having our barbecue and just the camaraderie of the club. It's been tough.
Zoom works really well for some things. It's a little awkward for some people. But I'm involved with a group of people called Heroes Mending on the Fly. It's a group of people that help out disabled veterans and other people, police and that type of person. And we've got about, on the island here, out of Campbell River, Comox Valley, about 8 or 9 people that we tie with, and hopefully when the weather gets good and the COVID dies down, we can get out and do some fishing with them. But it works out really well. We do it every Saturday evening for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We tie a fly of some sort and step them through it. And so far it's been very successful.
John Pugh, do you want to talk to us about Penticton fly fishers and your other endeavors?
Thanks. Can everybody hear me? I haven't said a thing all meeting, so
Well, I know you wanted to get your name mentioned in the minutes, John, so.
those guys in Penticton always accuse me of not coming to the meetings unless I move a motion at least one, and so I do. So my name is John Pugh. I know some of you, Pete and Phil and Jim Loring from many years ago. I am a director of the Penticton Fly Fishers. I'm very interested in fly fishing. I'm chair of the board of the Freshwater Fishery Society currently, and I also just retired from board chair of the South Coast Sport Fishing Advisory Board. So anyway, that's my background. I realized somewhere along the line that I'm very much aligned to the values of the FFF, and I really should just sit in and listen to what you guys have to say and do. I've read about it many times, but haven't really been involved. So here I am. So our club is struggling along, as all clubs are. We've been holding meetings and doing a good job, struggling to get younger members. We have, I think, 50 odd members in the club right now. And you know, we do our part to have fly tying sessions once every 2 weeks and try to get a presenter at our meetings, and that's been successful. But of course, COVID, like everywhere else, has kind of put a damper on everything we tried to do. And with Bonnie Henry's latest epistle, I think we'll have to not have meetings, conduct meetings for the next month or so at least. So that's where we are. We're in limbo. We have multi projects that we partake. We had a little hatchery where we raised kokanees, which Phil was very involved in, which got shut down a year ago. We're quite involved in rehabilitation of the Penticton Creek area, which has been very successful. But of course, it has all its political and physical and legal obstacles that we have to overcome in terms of easements and right-of-ways, because the creek goes right through town. But the section, and it's very expensive too to do it right. But they channelized this whole creek back in the 50s, probably before I was born, of course. And it's pretty rough shape. The cement is lots of places been undermined by the water, and the areas we've done have been highly successful. We'd get the project done in early August, and there would be kokanee spawning in there 2 weeks later. And it's been a highly successful project and is continuing, but highly dependent on funding, which is hard to get. But we think we finally have the town council on board with this project, and it's really good to see it finally coming to some fruition. So that's what we do. We're just a bunch of fishermen that like to get together and enjoy each other's company, and we have fish outs once a year, or more times and oftentimes over the summer, and we have monthly meetings, and we get involved in projects as we can. So that would be my pitch.
Thank you. Pete, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
sure. Pete Caverhill, Osprey Fly Fishers of BC. We celebrated our 50th anniversary this year, early on, and I think the significant bit of celebration that we did is that we produced a book, and it's called Mental Blank. No, it's not called Mental Blank, but I have mental blank. It's called the Osprey Fly Box. It's available on Amazon if anyone wants to check it out. It's sold very, very well. It's paid for itself now, and we're into the profit side of things. What else? We've had a couple of fly casting sessions, October and November, all physically distanced. The weather was good. That worked out well. I don't think anyone got sick out of it all, and fingers crossed. We're having meetings by Zoom. We had our AGM by Zoom. And we've got some fly tying stuff coming up by Zoom. We had one session already, which was good. So we're making do. I mean, it is tough, like everyone else has said. You know, we don't have the social connection that we all sort of need, but we're struggling along. Anyway, that's good. And I will say, I think our club, and I've been around since the beginning. Unfortunately, it's makes me tell you how old I am, I guess. I think we've got more interest in the Osprey Club than we've ever had. And I put that down to our webmaster and our newsletter editor, Sandy McKinley. And, you know, it's gone out electronically, and we've had all kinds of people come as guests and try us out. Sandy really has been the band leader behind the book that we produced. He flipped the whip and got us all going on making our contributions to the book, and it worked out very well. So there we are.
I'm actually surprised that Vicky didn't mention her book.
Oh yeah, our book is very good too.
It is.
Not as good as our book, though.
That Pelimelka fly fishing book.
Yeah.
You know, we should have called it Flies That Work.
Well, it says flies and fly fishing techniques.
Yeah, well, you know, we are into about our 8th printing. So it's just I mean, now we look at it, we can be pretty critical.
Well, I did find a book, and then I did order a bunch and got them to some of our members.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun thing to do.
When was
If we all order your books, we'll all catch more fish. Is that it?
You'll buy more fly fishing, fly tying material though.
Yeah.
Vicky guarantees it, but you got to go to a river and
Yeah.
Kootenays to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I can step, oh, sorry.
No, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Miles. Okay, Margaret Greenway, just the interim president, taking over from Winston for the Hague Brown Fly Fishing Association in Victoria. I've been in this position since the end of September, beginning of October. And so once I got the position, I started Zoom fly tying and a fly casting session. And both were received very well by the club vocally, but not well attended. And I think the attendance is partly because our club age is, mean age, sorry, is 60 to 80. Don't really like using Zoom. They're intimidated by it. So I've started off very slowly doing Zoom just on a social end of things in hopes of getting them more familiar with it. And so I haven't held a general meeting yet, but that will be starting in January 2021. And our dues were due in September, and they're not getting collected until January. Our club's in pretty bad shape right now, so it's a big rebuild. And I actually would really like to hear, I like this part of the meeting. I think I can really learn a lot from what the other clubs are doing. And this is really why BCFFF is so important.
Good point.
I'd like to speak about, I'm a member of the Hague Brown Fly Fishers along with Ken and Margaret, but I'm also a member of another club, which is not a fly fishing club. It's the Victoria Golden Rods and Reels, and its members are 55 years and above. And it has weekly meetings because most of the members are retired. It's actually quite top heavy. In fact, at today's fly tying session, there's a 96-year-old member who joined on Zoom meeting because of his fly that has a long history with club members as being a particularly productive fly in Buttle Lake. there has been a problem with those over 80 in with Zoom, and it's unfortunate that some of those just haven't been able to be involved. But in fact, the younger than 80, I think the attendance is up. And one of the reasons is they don't have to drive to a meeting in downtown Victoria.
Yes.
They don't have to worry about parking. There are actually quite a few advantages of having a Zoom meeting with regard to attendance. And what I can say about Zoom meetings, for those who haven't got them set up, it's really nice to have a techie guy to set things up, to be the host at the meetings. I think that that's quite important. But after that, it seems to work very well. The Golden Rods and Reels has meetings weekly every Tuesday, and has a fly tying session every Saturday morning. And as I say, this morning was the attendance, I think, was only 14 for the fly tying session. But not all, I mean, it's not a fly fishing club, it's an angling club. We, earlier in the year, we organized some charter fishing trips. And because that's with a large charter boat, it's outdoors, you can separate yourselves. All the charter trips were fully booked, and people had really good times. Anyway, I can't speak highly enough about Zoom. And I'll leave it at that.
Great.
Yep, and I've actually found with our fly tying sessions, we're recording them. And people are going back. So they may not even attend the initial fly tying session on Zoom, but they're going back and listening to the recording at their leisure. And they're picking up tips on how to use that fly. Yeah, it's been really, it's well received.
Well, I guess I can maybe speak from the BCFFF perspective and say that, we started our Zoom meetings, I think 3 board meetings ago. And, because we're spread across British Columbia, it's been very nice actually seeing people I've been on a board with for 4 or 5 years, some of whom, such as Jim, who lives up north, and in his early 80s, he doesn't come down to the AGMs, right? So it's been a real pleasure getting to know people in a face-to-face environment like today. And I'd also like to reiterate that, as the umbrella organization, to feel free to reach out to myself or the other directors if there's any concerns, if there's perhaps ways the BCFFF can help the clubs get through this period that we're in, or any other matters that may be coming up. I mean, one of the things the Charles Thomas Fund is a direct result of the Gilly Fund not fulfilling a need. And Phil put a lot of work into this, and, but essentially it came from club, club feedback and people saying, the Gilly Fund isn't quite offering what is needed out there. So it's really important. All the comments from everyone today have been very valuable, and please use us as a resource. We're ultimately, many of us are club members, but we're on the board to help take care of all the clubs and represent BC fly fishers at the table, at various groups and conservation efforts. So just to let everyone know. Is there anyone else that wishes to say something?
Oh, Don Grimway, I put my sign out on the front property, which my wife really loves, 6x8, when they came up with that report about the Cohen report with the fish farms still being allowed.
Yes.
And I got a better response than I really thought. You know, I had guys even pulling up with their trucks and taking photos of it. So,
Yes.
so it turned out pretty good with the Robert Haig Brown's quote. It turned out pretty good. So a lot of people thought it was political, but I was saying, no, it's to do with the fish farms, you know.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks, Don. Don posted a quote, a Robert Haig Brown quote about conservation on his lawn and sent us the photograph. So I think I posted it on the BCFFF Facebook page for those of you that are interested. So,
So Miles, I have one last question.
Sure.
Maybe it's the last. Do we need to know anything about our relationship with the BC Wildlife Federation? Has anything changed in that regard? What's happening there?
Oh, okay. So sorry, my dog is joining the meeting apparently. If you can hear him. Can you mean as far as the insurance issue?
I guess I guess the relationship is continuing. The payments are the same. Just clarification, when are those payments due to the BC Wildlife Federation?
Well, because I'm just trying to think how to answer this question.
Maybe I can answer it. Yeah. BCFFF doesn't have anything to do with insurance anymore, except for our own board's insurance. So every club is on its own now for getting your needed insurance.
As long as we're members of the BCFFF.
Sorry?
As long as we're members of the BCFFF, right?
Oh.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
You're a member of your own club.
My misunderstanding then.
Okay, well, as a club, you've gotten your insurance from somewhere. Maybe it's BC Wildlife Federation, in which case you need to be a member of BC Wildlife Federation. So that's where a lot of the controversy was last year, because it was an additional cost, which was fairly significant, although their insurance is very inexpensive and quite all-inclusive. I don't know whether that answers the question adequately, but
yeah, I think it does, Pete. What I hear you saying is that just me being fuzzy on all this a little bit. So I know the insurance is through the club, but we do not also need to be affiliated with the BCFFF in order to access that. Okay, that's
no. You can get your insurance anywhere.
Okay, and I have a question. BCFFF is. Are you asking your members to have insurance if they're a standalone member?
No.
Thank you.
No, I mean, the club has to decide what it needs, to cover its own set of butts.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, Leonard here from the Kamloops Fly Fishers. We're with the BCWF and we get our insurance through the BCWF. And next year we'll pay our dues and to the BCFFF also.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
One thing that is still a little bit of a mystery after all the insurance kerfuffle of 2019 is, just which clubs still remain as member clubs of BCFFF and which ones aren't. So I think the majority of clubs are still with BCFFF, but I'm just not sure on that. I mean, we know a few clubs have been rather disenchanted because of the insurance situation and decided not to rejoin BCFFF.
That's only 2 clubs, Pete.
Well, that's the thing. Is it just 2 clubs? Because we do not have a list of our clubs right now at all.
Oh.
I just have a quick question. So approximately 15 clubs under the umbrella?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So our understanding, and Pete, I know I talked to you back and forth quite a few times
Yeah.
through the insurance, and yeah, I mean, we just, it was a kerfuffle, it was a misunderstanding, and we've all put it behind us. At the time, we looked into the BC Wildlife Federation, we looked at their insurance, and we looked at what it was going to cost us per person, and we went to Waypoint at that point. So our DNO, Directors and Officers Insurance, is around $505, $510, and that's fairly common right across the province.
Right.
So that's who we went. We went with Waypoint. It was much cheaper than BC Wildlife Federation.
Yeah.
We Kalamalka Fly Fishers went with the BC Wildlife Federation, and there's a lot of discussion as whether or not we're going to do that again, or that we're going to do something like Waypoint.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now people, it's enough of the questions have been looked at. People know who to talk to, but that doesn't mean they're not going to belong to the BCFFF.
No.
They are going to belong to the umbrella group.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two questions. One, the people who went with Waypoint, did you just have your directors? You just get directors insurance, or does each member get insurance?
No, there's no such thing as that. That's what I mean. It was a real education for us. So it's directors and officers insurance, and anyone within the BC societies, if you're covered with the BC Societies Act and you have a set of bylaws, that's one reason why we are a society, is so that we are able to buy insurance. You can't buy directors and officers insurance and protect your board members against anything unless you are a society. So are all of our 15 clubs members of the BC Society Act? That'll be interesting to know too.
Yeah, it would be. Who knows?
Just asking. Yeah, no, it was a real learning curve for us. And it was right at the time where the BC Registry of Societies was asking us to redo our bylaws and make sure we were in alignment with any club. All clubs had to do that. I mean, my garden club did it. Everybody had to do it that same year.
And BCFFF, the umbrella, also has just got the DNO, and I think it's with Waypoint. Pretty sure it's with Waypoint.
And honestly, that's all. I mean, in the big picture of things, now that everyone is totally clear, that's all that we would expect, is that it's the directors and officers of BCFFF, and that's part of this group's whole thing, and it's the same with our board. There's no way that you can be insuring your members when we're going out and fishing Miracle Beach or doing this or doing some fish outs. There's no way that a club can have insurance for that for every member.
Well, there is if you are a member of the BC Wildlife Federation.
At $17 a person, and we looked at what our expectation was. Most people, you have your own personal insurance. If you're gonna fall when you're on the Eve River or whatever, can you really expect your club to be carrying that? No. So we went around and around, Margaret. It was a huge learning curve for us too. And there is no, and talk to Waypoint or Capri Assurance if you're in the interior or whatever. And it was a huge learning curve as to what kind of insurance really is available. And that's not available. So the DNO insurance protects directors and officers from being sued, maybe if there's a financial irregulation or anything like that.
Yeah, our understanding with that extra insurance that BCWF gives us, and we thought we had, it's all third party anyways.
Exactly.
It doesn't cover you yourself. It just covers somebody you may have injured or some damage you may have done while on a activity with that club. Yeah, it doesn't give you any extra insurance yourself. It just protects, yourself from being sued, I guess, from a third party.
Yeah,
and that's why it's third party insurance. And I don't know of anybody who's actually got direct personalized insurance for fishing. One club thought they had it.
Protects you when you back into that rancher's fence and destroy it. So
yeah, that's ICBC then, right? So
that could be. Yeah,
I've done that one too.
Yeah.
I'd just be interested. I mean, this is maybe a discussion for another time. or another meeting, but I would be interested in the BCFFF groups and what each one of you is doing to address this situation and see where we are in the majority and not, and pros and cons.
For insurance, you mean?
For insurance.
Mhm.
Yeah, because with our Hague Brown group, our dues are $50 a year, and $34 and $39, 34 for a senior, 39 for a regular member, goes of that $50 goes towards membership to the BCFFF, their insurance, and the BC Wildlife Federation. Doesn't leave much for the club.
You've got the $4 insurance with BC Wildlife Federation, or whatever it is now. Which is the more inclusive insurance.
Yeah, we went with the $7 because it had watercraft on it.
Oh, that's okay. That's right. Yeah.
Sounds like we need to do some investigation.
I've been kind of quiet here for the whole time, and I'm kind of listening. Our situation is a little bit different in Cam River because we're a subset of the Fish and Wildlife Club. And so we are all members of the BCWF, and the Fly Tires, which is a committee sort of the larger group, has the option of purchasing a membership in the BCFFF. And we've done it that way for a while, and I kind of not sure if that's okay now that I'm hearing all this. Because we're not an independent group. We're a subset.
Oh, I get you.
Well,
sorry, Doug, a subset of what?
The Cam River Fish and Wildlife Club. And everybody in that club is part of it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Insurance is not an issue for us. It's do we need to have an individual identity is the question I have.
So you're a subset, the fly fishers are a subset.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Then you would probably be an independent, each member would be, that joins a FFF would be a direct member.
Okay, if you want it that way, nobody's going to pay the $20.
Yeah, I knew that. Okay, well, your club is a member then.
Because we paid the club and then we paid the individual members in the past, and that's been okay. Now,
Yeah.
I know that if I go back and ask everybody for $20, they're going to say no.
Yeah, I agree.
So just as long as we got the Societies Act figured out, we got all that stuff, we got insurance figured out.
Well, we actually have you listed as the Campbell River fly fishers and your members, but your club is a number of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we think.
Doug, when you say $20, what are you exactly talking about?
A direct membership fee.
Direct membership fee.
For BCFFF.
Yeah.
So that would be what we're talking about is $10 for the club and $5 per member.
That's what we've been paying for years.
I'm trying to remember. I think you were paying more before, but given all the circumstances over the last 2 years, we've decided to go easier on
clubs,
the club costs. So $20 for the club and $5 per member.
No, Pete, it was $10 per club.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Thanks, Vicky. Yeah. That's right.
Well, these guys are not going to go to $20 from their.
Well, I'd just be concerned that you're concerned that it would be $20 for each member, and it's not.
Okay, as long as we have that insurance, it's a continuation of what we're already doing. I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problems with that. You already have your insurance with WF, so that's taken care of. So it's just a matter of your group is joined as a group to the FFF, your subgroup. Yeah, that's fine as far as I'm concerned.
See, insurance is really important to us because we do quite a few activities with middle school kids, and there's in our school system, there's a actual class, 2 classes a year of called fly fishing. So insurance is one of the things that we insist on. And so that's a really cool program that our guys can't participate in right now because of COVID.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, we've helped you out on some of that education stuff too over the years. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of the things that we would, you know, now direct that request into that Charles Thomas.
Yeah, we had one of our, the kids did quite well at the Canadian Championships, and one of the girls actually made the Canadian fly fishing team.
Whoa.
Excellent.
As a teenager. Pretty impressive.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah, Leonard here. There was one of the clubs that had a kind of a book that they used for the schools, I think. I did have a copy of it several years ago. And I'm wondering if there's anybody listening here in on this that knows anything about it. And I believe the BCFFF contributed to that book.
Leonard, it was West Coast Fly Fishers, I think.
Yes.
Out of Souk.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, anybody have any contact information for them? I'd like to get, one or two of those books.
I think they have a website.
Yeah, I gotta check on my phone here.
Yeah.
We're gonna run out of time soon, aren't we?
Yeah.
Getting near there. I
One
think I'm ready to run out of time anyhow.
Yep. We're at time, I think.
Yes, we are.
We paid all that money and we can't go beyond 2 hours?
Well, we'll get back to Len on that that address, but anything else, Miles, or should we call her a day?
I think we're good here. I just like to say thanks to Sylvia, who's been in the background here, helping things go smoothly. So, and thanks to all of you for participating. So, yeah, I guess do we need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, just Pete Caverhill just did it.
Okay.
I did.
Second.
Okay.
Tight lines, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Len.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.